aside the usual trotro and then taxi fares, the average amount you spend on using chartered transport like taxi, like using the ride-hailing apps like Uber, Yango, and the rest, have also seen some significant increase. Initially, the price you normally pay when you charter a drop-in from one place to another, the taxi driver will increase the fares he has taken from you. So even though Ministry of Transport, GPRTU, they are in a dilemma with increased prices, with no increased prices, the actual situation is that the transport fares has increased, or the cost of transportation have increased, either within the taxis, either with the Uber, or even the trotro itself. Last Friday, after Accra Collective, SMG Accra Collective meeting, I went to Nima. And transportation from Nima to Kaswa was initially 11 cedis 50 pesos. It has moved from 11 cedis 50 pesos to 14 cedis 50 pesos. Even though GPRTU have issued a statement that they've not increased transport fares. However, the trotro drivers own their own vehicles and they determine the price to charge. Additionally, there are certain times that artificial increase in prices are created, especially when it rains, especially in the evenings. So sometimes you'll be at circuit, they'll tell you Kaswa Street 10 cedis. So whether you are where you normally alight is 5 cedis, 4 cedis, 6 cedis, you have to pay 10 cedis. And that one is not determined by GPRT or Ministry of Transport. And so there's generally an increase in transport fares, and there's generally challenges affecting the transport sector of our country. Especially the fact that we rely heavily on private transport. Now, when you look at transport fares, there are a lot of factors that affect transport fares in Ghana. The major factor has to do with fuel prices, because it is the fuel that these drivers use to operate. And so if there is increase in fuel prices, you realize that the transport operators will also have to increase their prices, because the cost of producing or the cost of transporting passengers have increased as a result of the increase in fuel prices. Aside that, increase in prices of spare parts at Abosokai or Swami Magazine, because it is these spare parts that they normally replace with their vehicles to ensure that their vehicles get moving. And so if there is an increase in spare parts too, there will be a corresponding increase in transport fare. However, the system we find ourselves, or the environment we find ourselves, the major factor that affects increase in transport fares is the fuel prices. And that is our focus, or that is the major reasons why sometimes we normally suffer increase in transport fares. There could be other factors, but the major one has to do with the fuel prices. And now when you take fuel prices in Ghana, in the year 2024, fuel prices hasn't been so stable as we expect. And so you expect that once there's a bit of fluctuation in the fuel prices, it will definitely have a corresponding increase in transport fares. Throughout this year, or the year 2024, there haven't been a significant increase in transport fares. However, throughout the entire year, there have been increase in fuel prices. And so you realize that although there have been increase in fuel prices, but these transport operators have been reluctant in increasing their transport fares. And at this point in time, they are calling for an increase in transport fares. However, the Ministry of Transport is also trying to engage them not to increase transport fare. We all know we are in a political season, and so no politician will want inflation or high inflation or basic commodities like transport fares, food and other prices to go high in an election year. And so there's the politics around the transport fares as well. Now, when you look at the data on fuel prices, or the increase in fuel prices in the year 2024 alone, you realize that these transport operators have been quite charitable, because they have been increase in fuel prices. However, they have decided not to increase transport fares. So when you look at, as at 31st December 2023, the price of petrol was 12 cedis 39 pesos per liter, and the price of diesel was 12 cedis 99 pesos per liter. Now, on the 2nd February 2024, the price of petrol increased from 12 cedis 39 pesos per liter to 12 cedis 69 pesos per liter. about 0.3 pesos increase, or about 3 pesos increase in the price of petrol. And then the price of diesel also increased from 12 cedis 99 pesos per liter to 13 cedis 49 pesos per liter, also about 5 pesos increase. Then from 2nd February, on the 19th February, fuel prices increased again from 12 cedis 69 pesos per liter to 12 cedis 99 pesos per liter, also about 5 pesos increase in petrol. And then with diesel increased from 13 cedis 49 pesos per liter to 13 cedis 99 pesos per liter. Then you come to 1st of March. So if you look at the statistics, almost every month there's an increase in price. So from December 2023, February 2023, fuel prices increased on the 2nd, and then on the 19th, so just within a month, there have been increment in fuel prices for 2 times. Then on the 1st March, so it looks like every 2 weeks there's an increase in fuel price. Then on the 1st March, there was also an increase in the price of petrol from 12 cedis 99 pesos to 13 cedis 49 pesos per liter. And then diesel also increased from 13 cedis 99 pesos per liter to 14 cedis 49 pesos per liter, also a very significant increase. So petrol price increased by 5 pesos, and then diesel also increased by almost 1 Ghana cedis per liter. Then we go to after 1st March, on the 3rd March. So this is a space of that's on the 3rd April. So about a space of a month, petrol increased from 13 cedis 49 pesos per liter to 13 cedis 99 pesos per liter. Diesel also increased from 14 cedis 49 pesos per liter to 14 cedis 60 pesos per liter. And then on the 4th of April, so 3rd April, the price of petrol increased, or the price of fuel increased. And then 4th April, the price of fuel also increased. So this just within 24 hours, the prices of fuel has increased, and they will tell you effective 8 a.m. the following morning. So on the 3rd it increased, and then on the 4th of April it has increased again. So from the price of petrol increased from 13 cedis 99 pesos per liter to 14 cedis 15 pesos per liter. And then the price of diesel also increased from 14 cedis per liter to 14 cedis 79 pesos per liter. Then on the 16th of April, that was I think last 2 days or yesterday, the price of petrol increased from 14 cedis 15 pesos per liter to 14 cedis 99 pesos per liter. And then the price of diesel increased from 14 cedis 79 pesos per liter to 14 cedis 80 pesos per liter. So if you look at just between March to April alone, or just within 2024 alone, fuel prices has been increased 6 times. And within April alone, fuel prices have been increased 3 times. Just April, just this month, 3 times. And so if the transport operators begin to raise concerns that the transport fares must increase, you realize that they have some kind of legitimacy in demanding for some of these transport fare increments, because their major cost of production is fuel, and the fuel prices have also increased. So they actually have some kind of legitimate concern to demand that particular increase. Then you look at the aspect of fuel reduction. So there are concerns that fuel prices increase from around 12 cedis or 11 cedis. It got to a time fuel price was around 23 cedis per liter, and that was the time the transport operators increased their transport fares. However, when it's reduced from 23 cedis downwards to 12 cedis, these transport operators did not reduce the transport fares, and so they've not been fair to Ghanaians. That is also a legitimate concern, because if your major cost of production is fuel has increased, because of that you've increased the transport fares. If there is a corresponding decrease in fuel prices, there's also the need for you to also reduce the transport fares. And so, but then these are also private operators, and they're also in for business. And so I'm not sure every businessman will also want his profit to reduce. Everybody wants his profit to go forward. Just as when there's an increase in fuel prices, they are eager to increase. However, the Ministry of Transport normally engage them, try to calm them down, try to delay them, try to employ all forms of tactics to get them not to reduce or not to increase the transport fares. I think the ministry could have also employed those same tactics to get them to reduce the transport fares. But hey, these are also politicians involved, and the drivers also have a significant population in terms of the voter population. So they also have a significant number. And so dealing with some of these situations, you need to be very strategic. And so, yes, there was the need for them to also reduce transport fares, but then they are also private people and they decide whether to increase or not. Even when it rains, they increase transport fares. And so that's the situation we find ourselves. However, you can't also blame them that much, because in as much as there have been reductions in fuel prices, the rate of increment has also been significant. So just in 2024 alone, fuel prices has increased 6 times. But how many times can you count a reduction in fuel prices? Just about within a year, fuel prices can reduce just about 2 or 3 times within a year. But there are times within a month, fuel prices can increase about 3 or 4 times. And so you can't blame them much, because the rate at which fuel prices increase, they do not increase the transport fares at that rate. Okay, just as when transport fares reduce, and fuel prices reduce at a very minimal rate compared to how it increases. So there are certain times you need to bear with some of these transport operators. Aside that too, they are also faced with the challenges with the spare parts. Now, just the tire of a vehicle. As at December 2023, the price that you will buy the vehicle tire will be different from the price you buy it now. And so these factors also affect them. So when you go to Abosoka and you do an analysis of the prices of spare parts, you realize that there have been significant increase in the prices of spare parts. Let's not forget there are high fees and taxes paid at the port, and most of these spare parts are imported. And so once it gets to the port, they also charge some of these fees, some of these levies, some of these high import duties. And so prices of spare parts have never been the same. It has always been increasing as the day goes by. And so in as much as fuel prices have reduced, they should reduce their transport fares. Let's also consider them that spare parts have also increased. And so we find ourselves in such a situation. But nevertheless, we are currently in a situation where GPRTU says it has not increased transport fares. But I have picked vehicles several times and I've been charged a different rate from the price I used to pay in the past. And so the question we ask ourselves is that, do we have a legislation that requires all transport operators to comply by the GPRTU directive? For what I know, GPRTU is an association which is under the Trade Unions Congress. And so you can choose to belong to an association or not. And I've not cited, I won't say it doesn't exist, but I've not cited any legislation that mandates every transport operator to register with GPRTU. So yes, GPRTU can decide that, okay, we are not increasing transport fares, but its decision is bounded by its members. Only its members are required to comply by the directives of GPRTU. Any individual can own a commercial transport and then use it on our route or use it for commercial means on our route. They are not obliged to charge the prices of GPRTU. And so we are in a free market, and so these transport operators have the liberty to charge the prices they want. That is why when it rains or in the evening when there's difficulty in getting vehicles, they can increase the transport fare at the spot. And that means that they don't require permission from GPRTU. And so, in as much as GPRTU, Ministry of Transport, are trying not to increase the transport fares, these transport operators have already increased the transport fares. And there's no legislation that requires them not to increase the transport fares. Gone were the days when we were living in a planned economy, where even the prices of milk, the prices of needle, everything, all basic commodities were determined by the Minister of Finance. Some of us may be young, but we were told that gone are the days the Minister of Finance will come and then announce how much every commodity will be sold. That is a planned economy. And in that regard, if the transport operators violate that particular price, you can hold them liable for that. But in a free market where everybody can determine the price he wants to charge for his goods, you can't force these transport operators to comply by the directives from the GPRTU or from the Ministry of Transport. And so, yes, they may be trying to do their best, but then the situation is what it is, and we just have to comply. There are certain times you use transport fare, they will charge you the old fares. You use public transport, they will charge you the old fares. There are certain times to use public transport, they will charge you an increased fare. And so that is the situation that we find ourselves in. But let's look at the overall effect of this increase in transport fares on our daily lives. Most of us depend on public transport as a way of commuting. I mean, majority of Ghanaians depends on public transport. And if you want to know how people depend on public transport, around 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. on a week, they go to the major areas like Circle, La Paz, Accra. You see the number of people who are looking for transport to go to their various destinations, especially Kaswa, this Amasaman Road, and all those areas. So a lot of people depend on public transport for survival. And so once there's an increase in transport fares or public transport fares, you expect that it will have a very huge impact on the lives of the people as well as the economy at large. And so some of the effect can be that there will be financial burden on the citizens. So initially, I was paying 11 cedis, 50 pesos from Nima to Kaswa. Now I have to pay 14 cedis, 50 pesos. That's about 3 cedis increment. And in most institutions, salaries have remained the same. And so you need to cough out more expenditure vis-a-vis what you earn. And so you earn the same, but then your expenditure will increase. Then it contributes to the overall inflation of our country. That is why all the time you have inflation rising. The major determinant for our high inflation is food, because food inflation is very high. But with the increment in transport fares, you are sure that this will also have a space within our inflation build-up. And so citizens will face the financial challenges. It will also have an overall impact on our inflation, our net inflation as a country. Also, it will reduce mobility, because if I know that, look, going out, I will have to incur cost of transportation. If I don't have any significant reason or any important reason to go out, I'll definitely stay indoors. So if I have to come and buy some few items in town, I prefer to buy it from the local shop, or I would just prefer to ignore buying it, because the cost of transportation will increase. And so this will also affect various businesses, because gone are the days where somebody will see an item and will feel like, okay, let me just go to town and then buy it, or someone will have a taste or develop a taste for an item and so let me go to town to buy it. But because there's an increase in transport fare, the person will be reluctant to go to town to buy it. And so it will affect businesses in town, operating in town or within the central business district. Also, it will have social implications. Now, if the transport fare from Accra to Kumasi or Accra to Tamale, Accra to Wa, Accra to Takoradi, Cape Coast and all those areas have increased, if there's an event within my area, or I have a family event, let's say in Kumasi or in Tamale, because of the increase in transport fares, I'll be reluctant to go for this event. And so it also have an impact on our social life. So we may view it as just an increase in transport fares, but in reality it has an effect on our economy, on businesses, and even our social lives. So if you are working in Accra and then your wife is in Tamale or in Kumasi, the number of times you visit your wife will reduce, because the transport fares have increased. You get it? So this issue is a very important issue. The transport issue is a very important issue in our country. Politicians don't take it serious as they should, but it's a very important issue they need to tackle. Yesterday, one of my friends was telling me that the transport fares from Takoradi to his hometown, what's the name? Ezim, has increased. And so he's working in Takoradi. Initially, he was going to visit his parents every weekend, but now he has to change it to every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. It has impacted on the social life of the people. For you know, when he goes to the village, he normally buys certain things for the kids. So this case, initially they were receiving it every week. Now they'll have to receive it every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. So it has an impact on our social life. It also reduced productivity. So initially people were coming to town to buy a lot of things, but because of increase in transport fares, we won't come. We will just stay in the house and then try and find alternatives in getting the item. Or sometimes, if the item is not a necessity, there's no need in coming to town. There are certain times when you come to town, when people come to town, it is not just the item or the person they are coming to buy the items from that benefits. But once you come to town, you pay transport fares. It impacts the economy. Now, even within the public transport, you may want to refresh yourself with some Kosciuszko Moko or some yogurt. The seller of this item will also benefit. So it impacts the overall economy once you come to town. Now, once you get to town, you buy your items. The carrier who will carry the items from the shop or wherever you bought the item will also benefit. So if initially you were coming to town twice every month, and now you reduce it to once every month, you've impacted the person who normally buys the yogurt from, the one you normally buy the snacks within the transport from. It will impact on the carrier who normally carries your thing. Even if it's pure water that you buy from the town, it will have an impact on that person. And so the overall increase in transport fares really affects various aspects of our economy and our daily lives as individuals. Also, increase in the transport fares will also have an impact on some of these businesses, online businesses. So sometimes, I mean, some of these online platforms for buying items, even on WhatsApp, on Snapchat, on Instagram, and all those stuff, you can see an item, you order it, and then it will be delivered to you. But because of the increase in fuel prices, these Okada guys or the delivery companies will also increase their prices because they also depend on fuel. Most of these delivery companies use fuel-run bikes. Most of these Okada guys use fuel-run bikes. And so once there's an increase in fuel prices, they also increase the rate they charge for delivery fees. And so if you are doing online business where people normally order and then you deliver to them, they will look at the price of the item, look at the delivery fee attached to it and say, okay, I'm not even interested in this item, I won't buy it. Especially, and most of these items which are sold online let me I won't say luxury goods, but they are not so much of necessities. So you can easily decide to forgo it. And so it will impact on some of these small businesses as well. Because someone can decide to not to buy an item just because of the delivery fee he has to pay for it. And in that regard, the Okada guy who was normally going to deliver item will also have an impact because the number of items that he was delivering has also reduced. Do you get it? And so there are a whole lot of implications. There are a whole lot of implications on this increase in transport fares vis-a-vis increase in fuel prices. Okay, and the fuel prices also, there are a lot of factors that also affect the fuel prices as well. And so our whole life, realize that our whole life, the major part of our lives depends on transport, depends on fuel, depends on transport. Transport also depends on fuel. Fuel also depends on exchange rate. And then the exchange rate also depends on the fundamentals of the economy. And so if you fail to plan the fundamentals of the economy well, or if you fail to get the fundamentals of the economy, then the people will suffer. As the Vice President said, if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. If the exchange rate exposes you, fuel prices will expose you. If fuel prices expose you, transport fares will expose you. If transport fares exposes you, businesses will expose you, social life will expose you, everything will expose you. But as a country, can we have alternative to some of these increase in some of these transport system? Just in case these private operators decide always to increase it, what can we also do as a state, or what can the government do to curb some of these increase in transport fares? I think the whole world is trying to have a conversation about moving from fuel energy to renewable energy. And so I think the government took a step of issuing a zero rate VAT on all imported electric vehicle or duty free on electric vehicle. But I don't think that is a pragmatic step to move us from renewable energy. I think government must find a more pragmatic step to introduce electric vehicles for public transport. Okay, we need to have a pragmatic steps to ensure that some of these electric vehicles are in the system. And when we rely on electric vehicles, it means that the reliance of fuel will reduce, which will also mean that the transport fares wouldn't be going high as we expected. Also, can we also have state-owned transport systems where we'll have the public state-owned transport systems, like how Ayalolo operates, Metro Mass and all those stuff, to help in the transport system of our country. So in the event that these private transport operators decide to increase their prices, the state's own transport system can reduce their prices to ensure that everybody gets satisfied within the system, especially in cases that governments cannot afford to increase salaries. And so the government can rely on state-owned transport fares. So I think we need to make the state-owned transport fares better. Ayalolo, Metro Mass, those systems should be made better and then strengthened to help the overall transport system in our country. And lastly, to various companies and corporations, especially government companies and corporations, can also decide to be busing their own staff at relatively lesser cost than how they will have bussed themselves when they are using private transport. So maybe a company can have their own busing arrangements, whilst they deduct it from the staff salary and all those stuff. And in fact, we can actually have our own transport system. The country can have its own transport system, either by train or the busing system. Most of the people living outside will tell you that they have a bus card. Once they pay it every month, they have access to all public transport within the country, and it is helping their economy. Their economy is growing, but in our case, we don't have that particular system. And I think this can also help reduce the pressure on private transport and also reduce the burden that we face as a whole. And so, all in all, I think the basic factor that affects transport fares has to do with fuel. Fuel also rely on exchange rates. Exchange rates also rely on the overall planning of the economy. And so I think in all this increase in fuel prices, increase in transport fares, and its corresponding effect, the government takes the larger blame, because the foundation of the economy determines or influences all these factors. And so I think the government must be doing well in terms of planning the economy and then managing the economy as a whole. I'll end here, and I'll thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Comrade Ibrahim Badar, for opening up this discussion. You are watching Wednesday Palaver right here on Pan-African Television. We broadcast across 46 African countries, Southern Europe, and some parts of Asia. As the order of the day is, we would go to the studio audience and take some questions. And after that, we would also visit our social media platform and read some comments and feedback from them. Which after that, Comrade Ibrahim Badar would round up the whole discussion and respond to some of the questions and comments that came. So let me see by hand who wants to ask a question. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Comments? Okay, any other? All right, so 3. So start with you, and then you. All right. Please, let's be brief. We have limited time.
Good evening, studio audience and viewers up there. We're very thankful to Comrade Badar for opening up with these discussions. The way and manner you've gone about it and the way and manner we are thinking, it means the government have actually run down the economy, because the fuel and energy acts like the bulwark for the sustenance of the economy. I just want to digress a bit. If the energy system is so bad, I just wonder how this current administration will say they are doing one district, one factory. How is their factory being run? That is a very big question, which I would like Comrade Badar to ask, because the factory is being run on energy, and we are having a serious energy crisis in the country. Secondly, sometimes we don't always imagine. We just blame drivers and all those without thinking of the what causes the drivers or other people, sellers, people in the market to sell their food stuff and the drivers to charge such high fares. But all these blames should be put on the government. I think for the past 5 years, 6 years, ever since they came, they chastised the previous government for this increase in fuel prices. They chastised this government so much so, but within the shortest possible time. Look at, they have messed up the country. So we should blame the government for the woes we are now having. Thank you very much.
Good evening, studio audience. Comrade Badar, in fact, we thank you for giving us or opening our minds this evening. In fact, for the look of things, you can see that Ghana is bleeding. Ghana is bleeding. Frankly speaking, nobody seems to care. In fact, the mandate has been given to some people, but it looks as if they are playing, I don't know how to put it, and we have given the power to some people, and now they have put Ghana into bottomless pit. Now there's something that cannot hold. Things fall apart. Look at what is happening currently. Look at what is happening in our country. People cannot buy. People even cannot go to their hometowns. As we say, you have people who are staying in Accra, even because of the transportation or the transport fare, they can't go to their various communities. They have to stay indoors. Even to buy food, you have to even to call somebody to even bring home food before even, because in fact things are getting worse. But it looks as if nobody's talking about it. Most especially the clergy. I always blame the clergy. The clergy and the traditional rulers. Of late, even some of the traditional rulers are even voicing out, which maybe they are helping us even to solve up these issues. But others, most especially the clergy, they have zipped their mouth and they have cemented their mouth. They don't want to even talk about these issues. But previously, you are making a lot of noise. So I'm urging every youth in this country to rise up, so that we take the mantle. Otherwise, these old people would dump our spirit. Additionally, we are also urging everybody to also make sure that you vote and vote wisely. December 7th, we have to vote and vote wisely. This current MPP administration, I don't know whether they know something about leadership and governance. I want to talk about leadership and governance. I don't know whether they know. Because all their administrative decisions are not put out in this bottomless pit. Thank you. Comrade.
Good evening, comrades. Well, Comrade Ibrahim, you've done very well. What I want to say is that this hike in transport fares, I'm thinking about a different angle. It's going to affect our students that want to go for excursion in different places. Due to that, they might put that on hold, and that is going to affect their education. But I listened to the Deputy PRO for GPRT, Samuel Amor, and he touched on cost of course, spare part materials and hike in fuel prices as attributed to the fares. And I was thinking about, that drew my attention to probe into the Gold for Oil program, which is an initiative of the government of Ghana to use the existing Bank of Ghana domestic gold purchase program to support the import of petroleum products. If that has been done well, then I think there is a question mark. We need to probe into that. So I think this is one of the basic things that we need to touch on. But before I leave, as a journalist, the only research I've done on the field is that I've come to realize that there are more moving cars parked at the mechanic shop, bunch of them, more than the ones that are on the streets. So if all this should come on the streets, you know, it it's going to escalate more the price of the fuel prices more. So I think that I'm saying that in line with the using different means of transport so that we take advantage of that, train and the rest of you to curtail and curb this fuel price stocks that we're talking about. And our drivers and this station masters too have to do something about the slashing of the prices. They will tell you 30% increment, and it will be what? Price fluctuation. You make your agenda, you prepare your budget to seek in a public transport, only for a conductor to tell you, give you a list, this is the price, different prices here and there, and it's nothing good to write home about. So we need to put all this into consideration. Thank you very much.
So at this point, we invite Comrade Abdulhaq Ibrahim to share some comments from our social media pages.
Yeah, thank you. Today we have a lot of people watching us and then sending us plenty of comments, but we don't have much time to read all these comments, so I might read it a little bit quick. So I'll start with a few comments from our Facebook pages, and then we have reactions like emojis, saying people, crying emojis. People are crying. And then TCJJ says, enjoying the palaver here around Swan Lake. I don't know where that is, but thank you. Stay tuned, and then maybe next time add your question that you have for our resource person. Komensa Pillar 2 says breaking the 8 is possible. Well, that's from Komensa. Na Mabia Damba says Bawumia is the most incompetent, corrupt. Sorry, these are very hard words. I can't mention them all, but vice president ever in the history of Ghana. Hey, toilet is better than Akufo-Addo. Sewa Brody. Okay, this is too much. But those are comments coming from the Facebook page live stream. You can watch us on Facebook and YouTube. Let me take a few from our WhatsApp messages. This says the overall cause of this inflation is the government. It is so because of the current arrangement of our relations in production. Where individuals control the lives of the citizens. Transportation is the next most important thing to be addressed after production, because it connects to every aspect of our lives. But sadly, the government would rather leave that crucial and essential service in the hands of the individuals who are conditioned to also exploit the masses who are already struggling. Over 80% of our transport services is controlled by the private sector, whose sole interest is profit maximization. That's from Abdullahi Saidu, watching us from Tamale. Okay. And this is coming from Ifya in Kumasi. Under this profit engine economy, which breeds on profit maximization to survive above all the other well-beings of the citizens, we shouldn't expect any solution under these greedy politicians and political leaders we currently have. Inflation will continue to go up until we address the underlying economic conditions by using socialism to smash this capitalist machine that we operate, which continue to intensify poverty and corruption. And that's from Ifya. Salahuddin from Lagos also says, these are similar conditions we have here in Nigeria. Thank you for the program. This is also coming from no name. Okay, maybe next time you add your name, but it simply says, how do you propose a tax-free EVs when you haven't built the infrastructure for that industry to thrive? I'm sure that's addressed at Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. They say you haven't produced or you haven't fixed any infrastructure for EV vehicles, electric vehicles, to thrive in Ghana. So why do you expect people to bring in electric vehicles to solve your problems? From Comrade Edem Kwashi in Likpe in the Guan district, Oti region. Good evening to you all. Ghana has moved from being the cornerstone of black political liberation under Nkrumah to a neo-colonial country under neoliberal politicians, with this situation, we can have cheap transport fares? Of course, no. Drivers, mates, and passengers are fighting in trotros over change and new fares, over changes and new fares. We must be ashamed of ourselves. We were made to believe that the previous government was incompetent, and that when Akufo-Addo becomes the head of state, he will change the destiny of this country. Check your dry pockets, and that will tell you how good the government is doing. The root problem is that the working class is not in power because of the neoliberal framework which controls our politics. Under the working class control, the elites will continue to fool us. Until the working class takes control, the elite will continue to fool us. Let us get ready to vote the state captures out. Okay, let us get ready to vote the state capturers out of office and save the destiny of Ghana. Thanks to the socialist movement of Ghana for educating the working class to know the need to come together and defeat neoliberal politics which sustains the global capitalist system and replace it with a government for the working class soon and very soon. This simply says hi. Well, hello to you too. Apostle Emmanuel Masoli. Okay. Sorry if I mentioned your name wrongly. Cypher also says, hello, I'm Bright from Dodowa. Just tuned in. I like the program and will contribute in the subsequent program. Keep doing the good work for Mother Ghana. Well, it's every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Join us on Facebook or watch us live on your television. I think I'll stop here and then wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Comrade Ibrahim Abdulhak. At this point, we'll take the rounding off from Comrade Ibrahim Badar. So you have 3 minutes to do the roundup.
All right, thank you very much for your contributions and then comments. The first thing I will touch on is if the fuel prices are not stable, how is our industry doing, and then what is the fate of one district, one factory? This is a whole conversation we need to have about the impact on one district, one factory on our economy as a whole. But then I think most of the factories too will have to shift from using fuel to power their machinery to using electricity. Most of the companies, especially the mining sector and other huge companies, or those who affect the economy very, very, very positively, they rely on fuel. And so once there's a fluctuation in fuel prices, our productivity will be affected, and then the one district, one factory agenda we will see how it goes. And then also on the gold for oil thing, if you look at the fuel prices on the world market, there haven't been so much fluctuations. I mean, from December 2023 to date, the fuel prices on the world market have been quite stable. And so if there's stability on the fuel prices on the world market, the only factor that will influence the fuel prices in Ghana has to do with the exchange rate. And that is the problem the gold for oil policy is here to solve. Now, if regardless of the stability of fuel prices on the world market, and then with the gold for oil policy, there's still increase in fuel prices, it means the policy isn't really affecting fuel prices as we expect it to do. Because fuel prices on the world market is quite stable. It's quite, I have 3 minutes. I will have pulled out the data on fuel prices. From December 2023 to date, fuel prices on the world market has been stable. And so the only challenge we have is our exchange rate. And that is why the gold for oil policy came in. So the gold for oil policy is that we will not buy fuel with cash. We will buy fuel with gold. And so regardless of the exchange rate in our country, we wouldn't suffer in terms of our fuel prices because we are buying fuel with gold. And if dollar is 13 cedis, dollar is 12 cedis, we don't care because we will not have to change a lot of cedis to buy fuel. We will only have to use our gold. So the BDCs will have to buy from the boss or whichever body is in charge. And so BOG buys all the gold from using cedis. BOG will use cedis to buy gold from the gold producing companies here. Then they will go and sell it for oil. And so if this policy is really, when this policy was introduced, I said it was one of the best policies to help our fuel prices. But once fuel prices on the world market is stable, exchange rate is quite fluctuating, And this has an impact on our fuel prices. I think the policy must be looked into details, and we need to investigate how the policy is being implemented. And if the last thing I'll talk about is the fact that if just the exchange rate, we are unable to control the fuel prices we have in our country, regardless of the good for oil policy, then what will be the impact on fuel prices if the current global challenges escalate and it affects the fuel prices on the global market? It means that we will have to be buying fuel on the global market at higher prices with higher cedis, with more cedis, because our currency is not performing. And so we have a serious problem. And so I'll call on our government, if they are taking decisions, if they are making stance in terms of global situations, they shouldn't just take decisions because they want to impress the West, or they want to impress the West, or they want to impress their masters. They should take decisions that will bring peace and stability to the entire world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to watch Wednesday Palaver. At this point, we draw the curtains down, but don't take your dial off yet, because we bring you nothing but the best in news, best in entertainment, best in current affairs on Pan-African television. So at this point, it's bye-bye for now. Thank you.